So I'm not going to introduce myself. I think most of you know who I am, and I do a lot on LinkedIn. We've got some videos on deepfake gone out today on LinkedIn, which is quite interesting. You might not have heard of deepfake before. I'm doing another one on sad phishing and phubbing this week. So just keep an eye on LinkedIn, because I'm trying to really educate the school community about all the different type of things, and I only just learned what phubbing was, so I'll tell you later. Remind me and I'll tell you later. So you're here for using social media. So what I want to do is, as quickly as I can, go through the main aspects of social media. If you're a gooseberry guru, I don't think we've got any gooseberry gurus in the audience, you get this video automatically edited down, slightly more comprehensive, for you to share with your staff and your parents, and that's done via a video link, because I know we've got some new gooseberry gurus in who have been chosen by their school to be their online safety experts. So I know there might be one or two in the audience, so I haven't had a chance to look down the complete list, but that just so that you know, don't worry about it, you'll get the recording at the end, and there'll be some other bits that are added on. So yes, welcome to our social media webinar. Some of you might have signed up for our Gooseberry Alert, so that's why you're here, or you found us on the website. Now, once upon a time, we had life without being on the internet. And for most of you, and I'm going to be showing you my age now, that you know, that was a little while ago. Well, actually, no, it isn't that long ago. It's 30 years ago. So I am really showing my age here, where I remember sharing a computer with 5 of us in an office, and we all took it in turns to access this thing called the internet. But look at how it's evolved. It's incredible. You know, we've got cryptocurrency, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and AI as well. So, you know, if we think about where it's come in the last 30 years since being created to where it's going to be, it's quite phenomenal, actually. And it really intrigues me to see and really think about where social media is going to go, where AI is going to go. Does everybody know the terms when I'm talking about augmented reality? So augmented reality is when there is an iPad or an iPhone and you put it over something, and everything underneath it, it might be a board game that's specially designed, and you see things moving underneath. Cryptocurrency is currency. Internet of Things is things that are in your house that are connected to the internet. So it could be hoovers, kettles, fridges, toys, watches, anything that's there, and they're becoming more and more popular. And they say, you know, with it really soon, there'll be about 30 items at home connected to the internet. And then you've got AI, which is pretty amazing, actually. And we worry about passwords and personal information when AI is actually tracking what we're doing and how we're thinking. So I think that's even, you know, a bigger story, and I'm not going to go into that too much. And then we've got how we watch TV, and this is all part of social media and how we share things. But I hold my hands up completely to being a Netflix addicted to Netflix, and I've just done Peaky Blinders, which was amazing. So I wasn't very well, believe it or not, for 10 days. So I binged watched, and I'm sure that you guys watch television in a different way as well. You know, we don't sit down as we used to, unless you're a Strictly fan, or, you know, Britain's Got Talent, those type of things when they're on and you want to know the results. But we even watch television, and our children watch television in a very different way, and it drives me insane most nights. I'm trying to watch a film with my son, because now that's our family time, and you know, I have to make him put his phone down because he wants to watch YouTube and watch the film, and it's like, no, we're not doing that. So, and the internet is used by all age groups. Now, I want to highlight here how young children are using Instagram, WhatsApp, and Snapchat. It is really across all generations, and there are different types of social media being used by different audiences, because we're an audience. Don't forget that we are an audience. So, you know, I'm a middle-aged woman, as my son would say, and a bit boring. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I do Snapchat because I have to. My son won't allow me to follow him. He just blocks me, but you know, that's quite normal apparently. But children are using it more and more. You know, we've got years 4 and 5, so they're starting to use it at years how old that be, 8, 9 years old, and they're using it on daily basis, especially things like WhatsApp and Instagram. And you know, the older ones, year 7, are using Snapchat on a daily basis. And I think it's one of those things that we can't ignore it anymore. You know, we can't say yes, but they should be 13 years old. They're not, and they're using it. So we have choices. So we either take the negative side or we take the positive side. And I firmly believe if we take the positive way, and open up those conversations, if something is happening, they're more likely to talk to us than ramming down their throats, you shouldn't be 13, you should be 13, you should be 13, you should be 13, because I actually don't think that achieves anything. Some of you might disagree with me, and some of you might say, yes, but it's a recommended age. You know, I had an incident with a school where they sent around to the parents a letter saying it was illegal to have social media under the age of 13. It's like, really? Come on, guys, you know, that's just scaremongering, and it achieves nothing actually apart from worry in parents, because parents are a bit slow. And I'm sorry if you're a parent, I'm a parent too, but you know, we find it challenging, and a lot of teachers find it challenging because it's the area that we're in. And we're having a love affair with social media. I've got a great video, and if anybody wants it, it's about a girl in social media, and I couldn't put it today because I didn't have time, but we are having a love affair with social media. You know, we have got, in 60 seconds, we have got over 500,000 photos being shared on Snapchat. We've got 4 million videos being shared on YouTube. You know, LinkedIn, every 60 seconds, there's 120 professionals. You've got 500,000 tweets. Look at WhatsApp, look at that, 49 million messages every 60 seconds. It's absolutely incredible. And you might think it's a messaging platform, but actually it is a bit of social media, because you can bring groups together and do all those type of things, and it's about communities. And then you've got, in the end, and at the back end, is Instagram with 46,000. But it just shows you how much it's growing, and how you know, how much social media is being used by all of us, not just kids, all of us. You know, and then we look at the daddy of daddy and look at Facebook. A 60-second window in Facebook is phenomenal. You know, I know younger children aren't using it, but 71% of teachers are using Facebook. And I think the most worrying thing is that a lot of them don't actually know how to use it. They don't know how to change their privacy settings. They don't know how to lock things down. And I'm going to talk about policy in a second, and what you need to do as a school to address these type of things. So, you know, but look, you know, let's have a look. Let's take photo upload, you know, 243,000, 3 million items shared, 150,000 messages sent. It, you know, Facebook, they say, will be a utility in the future. It's our address book. It's there to stay. And then we look at how social media is evolved, and Snapchat has turned conversations into streaks, and I'll explain streaks. Some of you might know this already, but there's lots of change in Snapchat and the way that they're using technology. And within our Gooseberry Guru, we've actually captured that in a video so we can educate parents and teachers. Instagram, you know, it does glorify the perfect life. Facebook, it's segregating us, all of it, into chambers and fragmenting our communities. And you know, it's quite phenomenal what they're doing. And YouTube, that autoplay keeps us hooked again and again and again and again. And WhatsApp is making our lives a lot easier to communicate. And we use that in schools, we use it at home, we use it around family. And unfortunately, they all are designed to addict us. And how we manage that. And I think it's an issue not just with kids, but I think it's an issue across all communities. And I'll talk about that later. But I'm going to have a little pop. Can you put in the chat, which do you think is the most popular messaging platform out there out of the 5 that we've got there? So if you put it in the chat, that'd be amazing. So we've got YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Which of those? Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. That's, if you engage with me, it just makes things a lot easier. And as well, Snapchat. Okay, thanks, Daniel. That's interesting. Anybody else want to? Louise is. Let me have a look. Louise, I see you've raised your hand. If you could put in the chat, that would be great. You know, what your thoughts are. Anybody else want to sort of put some comments through? Some of you are saying Instagram, Snapchat. What do you think it is the most popular for using to chat with? Snapchat. Okay, cool. So I'm going to, it's YouTube. YouTube is the most popular platform. And if we think about it logically, they're watching YouTube all the time. We're all watching YouTube. Today, I was watching YouTube to find a video, how to post a video on Instagram that's longer than 1 minute. And I could not do it. So I had to go to YouTube to find out. And then what kids do is they then chat to each other in the comments section. The next one is, let's have a look, is WhatsApp. Again, think about those messages that I sent earlier about how many are actually being sent every 60 seconds. Then it's Snapchat, followed by Instagram, and then Facebook is for us old farts. So, you know, that's very at the end. But it's just interesting sometimes when you actually look at the statistics. And kids feel, and I am going to pull on the mental health very much so in social media because it does impact us. But kids that are not on social media feel that they're going to lose friends if they can't talk to them online, and they feel isolated. So guys, no matter how much you say, wow, you know, it's not the real life, it's not happened, this is how it's making them feel. So this is why it's so important. We have got to have these open conversations about, okay, you feel that you know you're going to lose friends. I know if I took the phone off either of my two children, well, they're not children, they're both teenagers, a 13-year-old and an 18-year-old, and they couldn't communicate through Snapchat or Instagram, you know, their world would have ended because they can't communicate with their friends, especially the older one. So, you know, sometimes we've just got to adjust how we're talking in order to sit that. And I just want to run through Instagram. You know, Instagram is the perfect, you know, I only ever see lovely photos of people. The reality is I actually look like that person on the right hand side. That's me pretty much in life. I like to think that I look like that, but actually in reality I'm not. But they have started working out studies now around which filters we use on Instagram can determine our mental health, well, and how we feel. So if you look at Gingham, for example, that is you know, you're inquisitive. The Clarendon is you're pretty straightforward and you're quite happy with life. It's a very, very subtle one. But if you start to go down more or rise, you're not so happy. And I can, if you're interested, send more information. I can't go through all of them in lots and lots of details, but each one of the filters that you get on Instagram can sort of say, you know, what the type of mood that you're in at that present moment in time. And then we've got Snapchat. So Snapchat to us adults is the weirdest thing ever. And, you know, they have turned pictures into conversations. So my son takes a picture of his foot and then puts a message on it. But the reality is the average boy likes to have, you know, does 77 days a streak. So a streak is the amount of consecutive days you message or you share a photo with one person, and with a girl it's 69 days. Snapchat is for good friends because Snapchat, you have to be connected. It's not like Instagram, it's not like Facebook, it's not like Twitter where you're following feeds. So you can follow anybody's feed and it can be public if you want to, whereas Snapchat, you're sharing information with people that you add to your Snapchat. That can still be people you don't know, but you're in control of that, whereas the others have got news feeds in there as well. And then the big one is, do you know what, and this is we might laugh at this, but the reality is, and this is not just kids, but it is adults as well, that the way that we communicate with our friends has changed in the last few years. And it has. And if you really think and are honest yourself about, you know, would you, you know, for example, on Facebook, if it's somebody's birthday, you put happy birthday. It's almost accepting now, and I know my family do this, is they won't bother to send you a birthday card because they can send you a message on your Facebook feed rather than actually send a birthday card. So it's changed the way that we communicate with one another. And, you know, I know this, you know, my friends, you know, they're in the computer, they're on our phones, we can communicate with them. You know, we have lost that way of communicating, sending cards and picking up the telephone. And also, you know, and I wrote an article, and hopefully all of you read it, about social media and how it's changing our lives. And you look at the magazines that are out there, you know, social media has replaced the glossy magazines. And we like that picture perfect, you know, where we used to look at, you know, Grazia or whatever, and you'd want those clothes that they always had. You know, we're getting that more and more so in our news feeds than we online. And we're becoming obsessed with how we look and what we look like, and especially the younger generation, they want themselves to look perfect. And I know with my 18-year-old, he works out, he's not interested in the cardiovascular side, he is only interested in a six-pack. That's all he's interested in, because that's what he looks like. So, you know, these are just areas that, you know, the magazines, it's taken over from magazines, and it just works in a different way. It's all been pushed online, it's all digital, but it's aspiring to what other people have, I suppose. And that's the biggest issue with social media, is that you think somebody else's life is far better than yours. And I want to bring on this because I normally don't do this as early on, but I want to bring it in because it's on the mental health side of things. And as teachers, and I'm not saying that you don't do this, and this is coming away from social media, but it involves social media as well, that we all need to be aware of signals that are being sent, not by just children, but also by adults. And you might have heard the term sad fishing today, where people put things on online to get attention for how they feel, and they might be sad or they might be happy. And there was a little bit of, you know, online that's mocking that almost. And I almost think, oh my God, these people are actually saying, I need some help. You know, that's what they're doing. Sad fishing is they're putting out there that I need some help. And all they want is moral support. So I used Facebook a lot back in 2014. So because I was very ill, and it helped me get through a very, very difficult time in my life. But anyway, this young lad in front of you turned up to school on a Friday with his little haircut, as he is. And then on a Monday, he turned up with the same haircut. And this was on social media as well. And you can see the anguish in his eyes. And what astonished me was the way that the school responded. Now, he's a bit of a colourful character, not the most well-behaved child, you know, in the school. But nobody asked, are you okay? Not one person said, how are you? And nobody said, why, you know, why did you shave your hair up? They assumed that he shaved his hair off because he was being an idiot. And that's not in a harsh way, but that's the truth. They just thought it was him being him. And so therefore, you know, that's fine. But the reality is only one teacher took the time and said, Zach, why did you shave your hair off? And do you know why it was? It was because his mum had lost all of her hair and shaved her hair off the day before because she was having chemotherapy. And Zachary did it in support with his mum. But what I'm trying to get across here is sometimes there are signals on social media in real life, but we tend to miss them because we're really busy. And this goes as well for your colleagues. You know, if somebody is putting little signals out in social media or anything, we all need to sort of be a little bit more aware. I know it's online, and I know, you know, it consumes our life, but I just think sometimes people are sending out signals and we're not necessarily taking them as seriously as we should do. And another area that we're very good as adults, and children are only responding sometimes to how we respond as adults. And 97% of 11 to 12-year-olds said that, no, 11 to 15-year-olds said that they would like to see more respect shown between adults. Now, as you can see, this is a picture. This is actually a real picture of a car that was parked in a car park. And on Facebook, somebody had posted it with some rather derogatory comments and swearing as well. And everybody else joined in. But nobody actually thought why. And this is, you know, and I know it's a bit cliche and you're most probably going, oh my God, this is a bit hippie-ish, but we do need to stop going, what's going on in people's life to make them behave the way that they do? You know, I know from my own experiences that I parked my car just like this in John Lewis a few, you know, 2 years ago. and my head was in completely somewhere else because my partner had died, and I parked like that, and I, God forbid what somebody put up, because the parking was absolutely shocking. And I just think that, you know, we just need to stop and think sometimes of, yes, it might well have been parked because he's got a Range Rover, and all those comments and things come to our mind. But I think until we start choosing to respect each other online, kids are only following what we do. And this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about, is let's start focusing on the adults, and then it pushes down to children. You know, we all focus very much on the kids, but parents and teachers and everybody else is part of that. Ooh. Been the same since I love. I'm going to start that again because it's on something about likes, and I want you to see this because a lot of our kids have got their own YouTube channels now, and I think that an important part of learning is teaching them how to use social media as well. And these are the type of things that we do in Gooseberry Planet, especially with our Gooseberry Guru. But you know, this video is about likes. So that is my 13-year-old son. Now, I had a choice about a year ago. He wanted his own Instagram account, and I held off, and I did hold off. And, you know, for a long time, he's still not, I don't like him. I don't want him on Facebook because I think Facebook is the daddy of addiction, and he's allowed on Instagram and Snapchat, and he's got YouTube. Anyway, about a year ago, about 18 months ago, he became a very good scooter and spent a lot of time in skate parks, as you can see from the video that I just played. And he was like, Mum, you know, I love this. And he is so passionate about it. So I had a choice. And there's two things that worried me the most. One is county lines, you know, because that's the place where children get targeted. And two was his emotional state around likes, and you know, how that would impact him because he was only 12 at the time. So we did this together, and we talk constantly about how to use you know, social media. He now has nearly 3,000 followers and is just about to get sponsored and is, you know, growing and growing. And I had a choice to say, no, I'm too scared of this, or is it, no, let's embrace it, but let's talk about it all the time. And we do talk about it. We talk about and have conversation about just likes, you know, but understanding what likes mean to him, and why the videos work. And it's amazing when you open those conversations with children, what they talk about. And I know on Instagram they're hiding the likes, but he's already got a professional account now because he's got so many followers. And I talked to him about county lines, you know, all the time. I said, oh, do you get offered drugs, Zachary, Luke? And he said, yeah, Mum, yeah, I do get offered drugs. And I go, okay, so what do you do? And how do you deal with the peer pressure and all those type of things? And they're conversations that we're all scared to have, but we have to have, because there are lines. Again, we do one with YouTube where we share with parents and teachers. It's a video in our Gooseberry Guru showing parents how to turn off AutoTube and all the pointers that they need to talk to their children about. No school uniforms, no landmarks, those type of things which can identify where their location is. So they're just very, very simple things. And this is going to everybody that's listening to me now as well, is we need to learn to switch off, okay? I do actually get a telephone for my sins when I go walking my dog, because I'm just the same as any other person. I have my phone right next to me right now, and it's buzzing away with emails and WhatsApp as I'm talking to you. I have it on silent all the time because it drives me crackers, because there's so many notifications going in there. And as teachers, we need to learn to switch off. We need to learn to say no more work emails after a certain time. You know, Ed Sheeran now has no social media, no telephone. He has an iPad. If you want to get a hold of him, you email him. He has completely cleansed his life, and I actually admire that. And I think as parents and as teachers, if we lead the way in the way that we behave, it will sooner or later impact our children. You know, we have rules in our house, you know, no television, no phones and television at the same time, no phones at the table, and they'll instill that into, and it is just a new era that we just need to get used to. There are tools out there to help you do that. You can turn your notifications on your Android, you can turn your notifications off on your iPhone. I have Do Not Disturb on my telephone. It goes on at 7 o'clock at night, doesn't come back on until 7 o'clock in the morning, so I receive no messages, nothing from people that are in my work, and if they're in my favorites, it will then call me. But other than that, you know, because our lives are really busy, we need to learn to switch off just as much as the children do. And that little red 4 there is put there to addict us and pull us in more and more and more. I'm going on now, guys, so I knew I would, so I'm going to try and whiz through. I'm going to go through gaming. Language is a really important part as well. So you know, how we speak, what we say, and what we do, talking about stranger danger, it's all old hat. We need to talk in their language. How many of you know what a sweat is? Does anybody know what a sweat is? Or a default? Or a griefer? Do any of you know what those terms mean? So we've got to, and this is something, again, we're really passionate about in our lesson plans as we explain all those terms, and they're all online gaming terms. And a little bit of inside information for you all. Fortnite actually stopped working for 24 hours, and they had a new series coming out, so they actually have a little black hole. So kids worldwide had stopped playing Fortnite for 24 hours in the gaming world. But I'm just focusing on, you know, we need to talk and be positive and talk in their language, not what we think they need to talk about. And sexting is a perfect example of that. If I turned around and said sexting to my 13 or 18-year-old, they would look at me like I was on drugs. They would look at me and go, really, Mum, you really are that embarrassing. We need to use things like nudes and nude images and explicit images, those type of references, not sexting. And we need to be positive, because we have spent so long terrifying kids that actually we scared them and they won't talk to us. So we need to talk and get them to open up and be positive about their experiences and talk to us about the negative ones as well as the positive ones. We also need to teach teachers and parents that, you know, if you go into the US now, social media, they ask. I had to go to Nashville earlier in the year. They ask for your social media profile so that they can check what you're talking about. So again, this is about digital footprint, and you know, amazingly, we've just won an award for well-being. And if we look at one of our lessons for 11 to 13-year-olds, we really talk about digital footprint and the well-being side of things and all these different areas, you know, so that we show them the impact and how that moves forward. And it's all through games. And then you've got to have a social media policy. So, you know, you need to decide as schools what's in that social media policy. You need to say, are teachers allowed to use their real names, or would you advise them to use a different name, maybe their maiden name? Or, you know, because if you look at counsellors, that's how they work, because counsellors don't want potential clients or clients contacting them. And these are the type of things you need to put in your policies. You need to be very, very clear with how you want teachers to behave. And because you are teachers, you have to take a higher degree. You're a professional. You have to step above everybody else, but you need to make it really clear in your social media policy what that looks like and how that is. And also, it's interesting, I was on a forum today about photos on social media, and you know, a lot of schools are taking photos face on with children, and I'm not sure I agree with it. Some of you might shout me down. You know, I think if we're taking photos of children, we should be doing it side on, you know, because you are identifying exactly where you are, you know, lots of different things. I think we just need to be a little bit more aware of what we share as schools on social media, and also have guidelines for your teachers on how you want them to behave, because if you don't set those guidelines, they've got no idea anyway. So it's really important to have the policies. We do have an online safety checklist actually, which we're giving away free of charge at the moment. So if any of you are interested, just email me, Stella@GoToBePlanet, and I can send that over to you. It's completely free of charge. You know, it's a checklist is there as well. And one thing I want you to all think about, and really put your hand on your heart and turn around and say, is what you're delivering from a social media point of view, making a difference, having an impact, and how are you measuring it? All right, because it might be very well that you've done a course on social media and it's told you the difference between Instagram and Snapchat, but really, do you understand what social media looks like and how it works? And, you know, so many people forget to realize that if anything's free, guess who the product is? We are. And I'm really keen to really challenge people that they say they can measure it and they can measure the impact. Because unless you're recording everything and absolutely everything you teach and having follow-ups and those type of things, it's really difficult to measure the impact. But I want you to put your hands on your hearts and really say, right, are we really teaching our children about the fundamentals of being online and what that using social media? I've been going for half an hour now, so I'm going to quickly go through Gooseberry Planet. We've won an award, as I just said, for Teach Primary, so the best primary resource for wellbeing. So we're really, really chuffed to bits with that. We have free webinars. As you all know, you're on this one now. We also have a monthly blog, and we also have our Gooseberry Alerts, which is a monthly PDF. This month we have a quiz for students to fill out. Also, conversation starters for students, teachers and parents. So please log on to the platform, sign up for Gooseberry Alerts. It's free of charge. And also, you know about the monthly webinars because you're on this one today. This is what our program looks like. We do it through game-based learning, and we go into areas in depth. We start at 5 years old and we finish at 13 to 14. And each year they have 12 weeks worth of education, and they move up a level each year. So it's age appropriate, and it really is going into detail. You know, online gaming is explaining what defaults and all the things that I talked about, passwords, you know, every single year, and it moves them along, and it's all age appropriate. So we are the only company globally that's created a 12-week program for each and every child in every year of education.